I was just informed that I was muted. Thank you, Matthew. Um, so I guess I'll start all over. Um, Here we go. Okay. So I spoke for about a minute and a half while muted. Okay. I'll start again. My name is David Lozano, and I am the executive artistic director of Academia Theater Company. And we are going to go with through the class the actor's tools for calming the mind. And these are tools that I have learned and further developed for my own practices as a director and an actor, as well as for my everyday life. So these are tools that I would like to impart to you and also provide a space that we can share in order to cultivate a sense of calm uh, uh, and uh, and fullness of feeling within ourselves. Essentially, we want to feel good being in our bodies and centering our minds. I will say this about some of us who are working in social services or working within advocacy circles and even efforts of activism at this time, that I think that we are riding a pendulum in this kind of work. I know that in my experience after the announcement of the pandemic, that I shut down everything such as Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and I really focused on self care. And then a few weeks ago, through the tragic death of George Floyd, I realized I had to open back up. And it created turbulence in my life, but it was important for me to see what was happening in the world, listen to my friends and colleagues who are on the front lines. And I had to take that step away from my sense of self comfort and self care, which I really needed in my life. But I also knew that I needed to step out into the world at this moment in which so many people are speaking up about the issues that our country's been facing for hundreds of years. And it's important for us to stand up in this moment. And as I began to engage more and more, I also realized the amount of agitation I experienced in my own life. And at this point in my life, I can say that at least I know I may not always be successful at it, but at least I know when I'm experiencing agitation, turbulence, or in the middle of a crisis, that I can come back to techniques and practices of centering. And in fact, I can do that every day because the mind and the emotions can run wild. But with these practices, we can center ourselves in a state of well being, health, awareness, and genuineness to ourselves and to others. So again, this may be a pendulum for some of us that are engaging with what is happening regarding the civil rights and the human rights efforts that are going on in the streets, as well in the state and city buildings regarding policy. But this is an opportunity for us to always come back to centeredness. And in fact, I think our health depends on it. So we're going to go ahead and begin. I do want to begin the way we always begin, which is by sharing what we call the bava, our bava. Not baba in Spanish, but bava, which means the flavor of the moment. Or simply, how do we feel right now? I'm going to say that I feel rushed. There's a lot going on right now. And I did take time to practice yoga, to meditate. Um, but I can tell that I'm tired. I'm thinking about a lot of things. And running my company as well as engaging in intensive advocacy. So I feel rushed. That's my bhava. Why don't you share yours? Let us know how it is that you feel on in the comment section. How is it that you feel at this moment? And I would be happy to recognize um, your bhava. I'm going to look at the website. I don't want to. Let's see. I don't want to have any feedback. So let's see. I don't know if I'll be able to pull this off. Again, if you're out there, please let us know. How is it that you're feeling at this moment before we get started? Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started. So what we're going to do is we're going to just sit wherever you are. Allow your feet to touch the floor. Then I want you to make the transition from where you came from to the present moment. I'm making the transition from looking over promotional materials, talking to a colleague about some issues that we're having. And so I'm going to release the grip I have on those feelings, those thoughts, and bring my attention to my body in this space, in this moment. So I'm going to make the transition from where I came from to this present moment. And as you see, I took a nice deep breath. My impulse when I become more present is I become aware of my body, and my body and my mind instinctively become aware of this tension I have in my body. And I have this impulse to take a nice deep breath, for one, to create more breath capacity, but two, to breathe in and out this tension. We know that when we take nice deep breaths that we're able to release tension in that process. And that's what I invite you to do periodically. When you feel the impulse, take a nice deep breath to breathe in tension and breathe it out. And you create more breath capacity, which actually allows you to be more present. And your mind to begin settling down. Good. I will say I don't take too many deep breaths too quickly, because that could increase your heart rate. But periodically, it allows you to relax. Very good. Now I'm going to ask you to bring your attention to the soles of your feet that make contact with the floor. Good. Just by bringing my attention to the soles of my feet, which we don't really do, it automatically allows me to center my attention on my body. My impulse is to take a nice deep breath in and out. So I observe the parts of my feet that make contact with the floor. I allow my breath to be nice and steady. Now I'm going to put my mind's eye on my skeleton. I'm going to observe the skeleton of my feet, my ankles, the fibula, knees, femur, and the pelvis. Again, simply guiding my attention to my body automatically allows me to be sensitive to my body creating the impulses to take nice deep breaths. Then from the pelvis, I can observe my spine and each vertebrae stacked one on top of the other through the neck and skull. So the spine is nice and tall. My pelvis is seated. My weight is falling through my pelvis on the chair, into the chair, and my spine with vertebrae stacked up one on top of the other. It's nice and tall without tension. Through my neck and the skull. So my spine, neck, and skull are tall like a coat rack. Nice and easy. Now I'm going to invite you to let the muscles on your body, like the muscles from the crown of your head through your whole body, to fall like wet coats on the coat rack, which is your spine. So I'm going to ask you to scan from the crown of your head through your forehead, the back of your head, the sides of your head, your eye sockets, your sinuses, your jaw, your neck, your shoulders, the muscles below your collarbones. Releasing any tension. And if it's helpful, you can breathe it in and breathe it out. The chest and the heart area, the diaphragm, the upper back, the stomach, the lower back, the waist, my pelvic region, releasing tension. The thighs, the knees, the calves, the ankles, and the feet. So my skeleton is nice and tall with my bones nicely stacked one on top of the other, free of any tension from my feet through the legs, pelvis, spine, neck, and skull. Obviously, I'm exerting just enough to be upright. And while my skeleton is nice and tall and upright, my muscles fall like wet coats on a coat rack. From the crown of my head all the way through my face, neck, vocal cords, chest, upper back, diaphragm, stomach, waist, pelvic region, thighs, ankles, feet. Good. And so now I'm going to allow myself to let go of any thoughts of the past, any thoughts of the future, or any preoccupations of the present. I'm going to allow myself to simply be in the present moment with this nice skeleton, bones stacked one on top of the other, muscles falling like wet coats on a coat rack, and my attention on my body in this space, in this moment in time. And there's different ways to approach our thoughts. One very healthy way is just acknowledge that the thoughts are there. Sometimes when we're problem solving through something that may take our attention beyond the work hours, it's good to acknowledge that that dynamic is there. And just acknowledging that allows us to be at peace, simply what is, what is happening. And then we can take our attention we simply gently guide our attention to our bodies, letting go of any thoughts of the past, any thoughts of the future, or any preoccupations of the present. And if the mind starts turning, we can acknowledge it, loosen our grip on it, maybe let it be. Understand that we're trying to resolve what this person said or is doing in this part of our office or in this department of our company, or what the Dallas City Council member said, or this. We can acknowledge that our mind may be attracted to that, but we can let that be, loosen our grip on controlling that thought, experience the emotion that's associated with that thought. And when you're ready, gently guide your attention back to your body. Again, letting go of any thoughts of the past, any thoughts of the future, or any preoccupations of the present. Good. And now I invite you to just simply observe your natural cycle of breath. Your breath as you breathe in, breath as you breathe out. Such a relief just to be able to allow your breath to cycle in and out. And so you can sit like this, letting go of any thoughts of the past, future, or preoccupation of the present. And the practice is releasing our grip on the thoughts that may consume us, or the thoughts that just float by. Releasing our grip, acknowledging the thoughts, and maybe the emotions associated with them, and gently guiding our attention back to our natural cycle of breath. You can practice doing this, seated like this, observing your natural cycle of breath. And the practice is releasing attachment to the thoughts and gently coming back to your breath. You can do this for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15, 30, an hour. And you can see yourself begin to release more and more, even to the point where you begin to release even more tension, even more deeply in your body. And your mind naturally becomes more aware of the present moment and present itself. This is level 1 of awareness. Finally, I'm going to ask you to simply to observe your emotions, whatever they may be. Just acknowledge them. If you feel your body tensing, you can breathe in and breathe out and release the tension in those parts of the body. Acknowledging your emotion and acknowledging that emotions are temporary and will flow and dissipate. And so the body is a sturdy framework that allows us to sustain ourselves through all kinds of emotions. Wonderful emotions, difficult ones. But this framework of the skeleton, the capacity to release tension, and the ability to guide our attention and release extraneous thoughts and guide our attention, give us the tools to sustain our existence through the spectrum of experience and emotions. Which is why this is a tool that we can access. These are tools we can access every day. Good. This is level 1 of awareness, which is awareness of ourselves. Level 2 is awareness of an actor's context of the ensemble, of others in the circle. So you're aware of me on the screen. Level 3 of awareness is the space. I'm aware of the sound, the lights, shadow. I can look around. And I'm not studying anything. I'm simply observing, listening, seeing. My attention may be brought to how I feel because I may recognize the building up of tension, which I actually just experienced here. Feeling of touch, my feet on the floor. Again, with releasing thoughts of the past, future, and present, and preoccupations of the present. I'm aware of sight, sound, touch. And in performance terms, this is what we at Kadamia term presence, which is being present. There is also the term presence that we use to describe something with someone with an extraordinary presence. We're not striving for that. We're looking for our fundamental presence. And this is what we seek. And from this fundamental, almost elemental presence, we can begin our work as artists. This may be a good starting point to initiate your work at home, communicating with your children or family, and cultivating understanding and patience when we do the difficult work, social change. And these are simply tools to center us. I do want to take the next step. We haven't been doing that lately because we've been really focusing our attention on really allowing us to release a lot of what is going on with us. But I do think the body is very important for us to also continue working. So we're going to go past 12:30 today. But for those of you that need to leave, I invite you to tell us on your comments how you feel before you leave. But I invite you to stick around for, I think, 10 minutes, maybe 15. And what we're going to do is we're going to move our presence to our feet. We are going to take our present to our feet and move this work and this practice into our bodies, which I think is also important. So I'm going to move my computer and begin the work in the space here. Good. Okay, so what we're going to do here, we're going to do something similar. I'm going to move with more agility, but just come to a standing position. Your feet beneath your hip sockets. Again, if as I bring my attention to my body, I may have the impulse to breathe in any tension and breathe it out, and further cultivate more breath capacity. So my feet are below my hip sockets. In my mind's eye, I divide my feet into 4 quadrants. Let's see if I can lift up my foot. 4 quadrants. And I'm going to let my weight fall evenly among those 4 quadrants. Some of you may notice that actually aligns and lengthens your spine simply by evenly dividing your weight among those 4 quadrants of your feet. Observe your skeleton from the feet, ankles, fibula, kneecaps, femurs, pelvis, spine, vertebrae stacked out one on top of the other through the neck and skull. Skeleton is nice and tall, tense free, of course, exerting as little tension as necessary. Tall like a coat rack. So that when we go to the next step, your skeleton and spine are nice and tall. And we're going to let our muscles fall like wet coats on a coat rack. From the crown of our head through the forehead, the sides of our head, eyebrows, releasing tension as we go. Jaws, our jaw, neck, vocal cords, shoulders, the muscles below the collarbone, the heart center, diaphragm, stomach, our backs, upper, mid, lower back, waist, our pelvic region, releasing tension as we scan further through the thighs, knees, calves, ankles, and feet. Acknowledge your emotions, whatever they may be. Bring your attention to your body in this space, in this moment, releasing any thoughts of the past, any thoughts of the future, or any preoccupations of the present. We're actually just going to be very simple at this moment, simple and brief. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to very simply, excuse my belly button, extend your hands in the air, gently reaching for the ceiling. You don't want to hurt anything, but just give yourself a nice extension. And it's important that you breathe through it. You don't hold your breath. As you reach up to the ceiling, make a fist, extend, not a hard fist. Now extend your left arm to the ceiling, opening this part of your hip or the side of your torso. Extend your right, again, opening gently this side of your torso. Good. Letting the arms fall, and then we're going to let the head just fall first like lead, and then it rolls down into a gentle forward bend. Continuing to breathe, breathing in and out, releasing tension. If you don't feel comfortable, come back to a standing position. If you're okay in the forward bend, allow your spine to grow long. Releasing tension in your back, letting your neck grow long and your head fall. Shoulders fall, arms fall. One nice deep breath. Press your weight against your soles of your feet and roll up. Shoulders, neck, and skull are last. Good. And just listen to your body a little bit. Let's move it around however you wish. As I become more awake physically and more relaxed, I have the impulse of wanting to clean out my sinuses so I can breathe fully. So it's interesting how when we release tension and we activate our bodies, we begin to see greater circulation of breath, which is what I'm experiencing right now. So moving the body, the breath adapts to the body's movements. So we don't actually have to prescribe our breath when we move. Now we can, and we do as performers. So I'm really liberating my upper body. You can do whatever it is that you want to do. Be very simple, but I'm liberating my body this way. I'm opening up my hip sockets. I can feel it. Opening up my hip sockets. I'm undulating my spine. I can still feel the soreness in my back from having a fall on my stairs a while back. So I'm gentle with that. But I play, and this opens up more air circulation. I lift my knees. Again, you do what you can and feels comfortable, because all of this is comfortable for me. It's not necessarily rigorous for me. It's more of an awakening. So I'm not asking you to do anything rigorous. Okay? So, good. And then just one last shake out, little shimmy. Move my head around gently. Elbows, wrists, fingers. And let my voice out. Because for me as a performer, liberation also is realized through the voice. Good. Thank you. So we're going to come back and we're going to close. Just take a few minutes to close. So we could go even further. I did have the sensation that it would be good to just move a little bit more quickly there, just to focus on the circulation of breath through movement and the generation of energy there that comes with movement, as opposed to simply the awareness, which is also extremely important, because we are often working out deeper tensions the more we take that slow process of relaxation and awareness, and maybe even deeper emotions when we work deeper and very presently. But I also felt the importance and the need, and maybe it's my wife's artwork for her class she's teaching that made me want to find the little bursts of movement that come from awakening our body. So this is these are some of the actor's tools. And again, as human beings, we have so many elemental aspects of our existence, such as our skeleton, our muscles, our emotions, and of course our awareness. And then, what does it mean when we move? What are the dynamics and the processes of moving? And what does that do to us? And so many of us become involved in theater because of how incredible we feel when we do it. And so that's what we're trying to impart to you, is some of these tools that we have cultivated. And maybe we'll explore different avenues as well, because we've been focusing a lot on calming the mind through these practices, but maybe we can move into different areas. I'd love to hear some feedback from anyone out there that has some opinions on that. Feel free to put some comments in the comment section. Send me an email at david@kadamiatheater.org or message on Facebook at Kadamia. So before we break, I'm going to ask you to share your bhava. How do you feel as we close this session? And let me see if I can get comments, if there are any comments on here. I wish I was smarter about this. All comments. Okay, I got some initial bhavas from Deb. Feeling like too much going through my mind. I definitely relate and related to that. And Matthew, good, feeling very on the go, but excited to take this moment to calm and center. So I'd love to hear from anyone out there that has gone through the class and just sharing, and including Matthew and Deb, sharing your bhava, what we call the outgoing bhava, and let's see how you feel. Oh, okay, here's more comments. Thanks, Deb. Thanks, David. Awareness was awesome. Much more aware of tensions and felt great. Appreciate the session. My Aunt Betsy. Thanks, David Lozano. That was fantastic. I feel so much better. Some of your strategies were reminiscent of some biofeedback sessions I took several years ago. That's really great. I'll take a look at that. I don't know a lot about biofeedback, but that's a great comment. So thank you, Aunt Betsy, for joining us. So unless anyone has anything that they would like to share, any questions, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Again, if you would like to share how you feel at the end of the session, that would be great help. Otherwise, please feel free to share this this video and any other episodes of Calming the Mind that we've had, and share them out. And we hope that this can become a tool through a lot of what we're dealing with within ourselves, within our homes, as well as when we may be engaging civically. Okay, so I'll check one more time and see if there's any comments. I think that is it. But I do want to thank everyone, and I'll just check one more time. I want to thank everyone for joining us. And again, my name is David Lozano. I'm the Executive Artistic Director of Kadamia Theater. I actually do want to, I know everyone's ready to get off, but I am going to put this in the comment section, a few things. There's a fantastic video that the director of El Laboratorio de la Máscara, the Mask Laboratory, developed about her work in Mexico City. So the Laboratorio de la Máscara, the Mask Laboratory, is Kadamia Theater's sister company in Mexico City. And I thought of them during the session because when I said, bring your attention down to your feet, there's a moment in her video in which she says, my head is in my feet and my feet is in my head, which is a funny way of saying that we're connected with our bodies, and that we're able to release much of our discursive minds in order to connect with our body. And as performers, We have to think about our feet. We have to think about our bodies. We have to think about our emotions, our impulses. And I believe as human beings, this is actually a great practice. Let me see if I can find that video. Again, I want to thank everyone for joining us. And if you have to go, I completely understand. If you'd like to wait for this video, I will put it in the comment section. Let me see. Maybe it's easier. I'll put it in the comment section after I finish. I want to thank everyone for joining us. Have a wonderful day. Please share the video out if it's helpful to anyone, and please tell your friends. We'll be back on Thursday. Take care.